What's going on there, folks? Good afternoon, good evening to some folks out there. It is Earthmaster here checking in on the channel. Here on the live stream, March 27th, 2021 is the date, 4:03 p.m. West Coast time in California, where it's 82 degrees right now here in my part of the Sacramento Valley. Pretty warm. I was outside doing a little bit of yard work. It's pretty toasty out there, let me tell you. It's supposed to be a little bit warmer tomorrow, and even warmer next week. So I'm definitely not ready for this this type of weather. Jumping in real quick, gonna do an update video here on the channel, taking a look at the earthquake activity around the globe here. Nothing major or big to report here at the moment. We are getting a little bit of further activity up here around the Arctic Circle, north of Iceland region. They did have a couple quakes up here over the last 24 hours and 48 hours. There's a couple more quakes that took place here, not on this 24-hour map. Little 5.2 though within that 24-hour period, northeast of the Norway, or east I should say, of Norway area, northeast of Iceland. No major quakes to report down there at the moment, at least 4.0 and above for the activity there in Iceland. I'm looking over here towards the eastern area. A little earthquake there, 5.5 around the Italy area, shaking things up a tad bit, just offshore in the sea area east of the Italy region. As far as the eastern part over here, a little bit further into China, a couple small not microquakes, but lower fours, mid fours out there in the China region. Out there in the, who knows what's out there. That'd be kind of cool to go out there and check out the desert of this region and the mountainous areas over here. A couple mid fours popping off there. Nothing major to report in that area of the world. Indonesia Islands down through the New Zealand area and the Kermadec Trench. Relatively minor, but still some increase in activity here. Northeast of New Zealand into the Kermadec Trench area and southwest of Fiji. We haven't really seen any major deep movement. There has been one deep earthquake activity still within that area where this is the X marks the spot when it comes to deep earthquake activity out there around the globe. Yes, we get deep earthquake activity out there around certain subduction areas of the globe, but this right here, this bend, this region right here will see the most in any time period, in any day, in a year, when it comes to the magnitudes and multitudes of deep earthquakes in this area. It's just the X marks the spot. And that is true today, 483 kilometers for that 4.4 that struck due south of Fiji Islands into the deeper regions of the Kermadec Trench, Tonga Trench area. And normally, whenever we see quite a bit of deep movement, we expect, obviously, some surface quaking, not only in the area of to the north possibly, but also up here into the western part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, which is relatively quiet for the moment. I believe we're looking at potential buildup up here and soon to be released quickly, according to the earthquake activity we've seen down here over the last couple days or so. Just a lot of deep movement here into this region, and lack of activity up here to the north, but that will be filled pretty soon. Alaska region looking at relatively quiet conditions. West coast into the northern California area, pretty quiet. Southern Cal looking like your average earthquake day out there. No major swarms to report. A little bit of activity across the Garlock fault system. This is something to watch here, potentially. It's a shear function fault, and it can produce a pretty significant size earthquake, which could, you never know, trigger the San Andreas fault down here, the southern section, which is kind of an area to watch for the big one, so to speak, 8.0 or possibly greater in the Southern California area. Just seen a little 3 earthquakes here in a very linear fashion, kind of stretching across the Bakersfield area. Just some microquakes, nothing big there, folks. Other than that, some mountainous areas, Intermountain West region, Idaho, into parts of the Pacific Northwest, seeing some activity up there, but like I said, no major activity to report. Puerto Rico area seeing some uptick in the activity south of the main island up here, the Puerto Rico area. Of course, Up here to the north, man, we got the Puerto Rico Trench, and we are seeing some increased earthquake activity up here. This is something to watch here because this potential for a megaquake is a high possibility. And this is very similar to, well, not, I wouldn't say similar, but this kind of gets me on the edge when it comes to earthquakes in a subduction area, right? A trench area for potential major quakes. Just like the Cascadia, this area right here has a potential to do some major damage and a mega earthquake up here if this thing decides to produce some sizable magnitudes. Down here around the St. John's area, south of St. John's, well, down there south of Barbuda area, Dominica area, we're looking at small lower earthquake 4.3 deep. There's some deep movement right there, folks. 123 kilometers outside of this plate boundary. Just a whole lot of activity has been taking place in this region. And to see movement up here around the Puerto Rico Trench area is kind of concerning. Just be on guard, stay alert if you are down there in that area. It's a dangerous area when it comes to potentially producing some large quakes. I will include this, well, towards the end of this video here, a link to a video I made, I think it's been about a year now, in regards to the Puerto Rico Trench megaquake possibility. It's there, it's a fact, and that's something for everyone to be aware of. So check it out if you haven't watched that video already. It will be provided as a link at the end of this video. Southern California, there was an article released here I put out on the channel here about, well, it's from phys.org. This was put out a couple days ago. I did post it onto my Facebook channel in regards to potential earthquake activity along the San Andreas Fault in a certain area, branch of the San Andreas Fault that's overlooked. These guys are talking about LA's biggest quake threat sits on an overlooked part of San Andreas, a study says, and that may be good when it comes to the lack of damage and substantial after effects there in the LA area. I did provide it on the channel on Facebook. If you want to check it out, it's right there on my channel on Facebook. I'm not going to read through a whole lot of it. We'll go ahead and read just a little bit here. In the article, scientists have pinpointed a long, overlooked portion of the southern San Andreas Fault that they say could pose the most significant earthquake risk for the greater Los Angeles area. And it's about 80 years overdue for release. But there could be a silver lining, okay? These guys are kind of caking it up a little bit, putting a little icing on the cake there. If their analysis is right, experts say it's possible that when a long-predicted and much more devastating earthquake hits, it may not do quite as much damage to the region as some scientists previously feared. Wow, okay. That's a significant reduction in risk for LA if this is true. The San Andreas Fault is roughly 800-mile fracture that runs much of the length of California, and is capable of producing a much-feared massive trembler known as the Big One. I've been hearing that since the middle 80s. Let's see. Eventually, strain is released through earthquakes. Not every part of the fault carries the strain equally. In Southern California, the San Andreas Fault system is made up of many strands, and it's difficult for earthquake researchers to identify which parts of the fault system are most at risk of rupture. Okay, it's a spiderweb fault system down there. Many different faults down there. The San Andreas Fault is ultimately the plate boundary of the North American and Pacific Plate. Let's see here. You know, you got all these scientists and geologists and stuff like that you know, they do their research. Obviously, they've been trained and they've been studying this stuff for a long time. But of course, they're similar to the weatherman, right? You know, sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. It's going to be 82 degrees today, they say, and obviously it was. But when it comes to predicting the ingredients of storms and stuff like that, sometimes they're not accurate. And it's true when it comes to geologists and scientists and stuff like that. You know, they're just guesstimating and using information that they think could predict the future, or could it's hard. I'm trying to figure out what to say here. But if you kind of get my drift when it comes to scientists trying to tell things, you know, explain things in their professional studies and stuff like that, sometimes they're not always right. They're just not always right, folks. Because the southern San Andreas Fault is likely to experience ground rupturing earthquakes at an average rate of 1 every 215 years or so. The last one in the southernmost branch of the San Andreas Fault, and we've talked a lot about this on this channel here, took place in 1726. Right, so 215 years occurrence interval. We're about 80 years overdue, said this person right here. About 6 to 9 meters of elastic strain have likely accumulated along the fault since the last one. And we're looking at likely of roughly 20 to 30 feet shifting with a single quake there. That's pretty significant. Yeah, check it out, folks, if you want to read it for yourself. Like I said, it's there on my Facebook channel. I'm trying to get this channel or this site here on Facebook to grow a little bit. It's the Earth Master. You can see that Facebook. The Earth Master right there is my webpage on Facebook. If you haven't liked it, go check it out. I try to upload all my videos to the channel. And I'll also include, relevant information that I sometimes don't post on the YouTube channel, such as studies on the great 9.2 earthquake in Alaska back in 1964, and also the article about the LA area. So go check it out. Like the page while you're there. Share the page. We're trying to get this channel and page to grow dramatically. We're really close to 50,000 subscribers here on this channel, and of course a giveaway is happening at 50,000 subscribers, and I think it's going to be really cool. I think a lot of people are going to be happy with the giveaway. I'm looking forward to that very soon. So yeah, please share the channel. Let's get this channel out there and get this baby to grow a little bit. What else we got here? South America, really quiet, folks. We're looking at some quiet activity, not only in the Pacific, or not Pacific, but the northwest, western part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, and down here along the South America area. Very quiet in activity, so I expect that to change very soon, not only in the South America area, but with the deep earthquake activity in Fiji area over the past couple days, likelihood of larger magnitudes increasing as we speak there along the western part of the Pacific Ring of Fire. All right, folks, what else we got here? Let's go ahead and check out the Yellowstone National Park area. Pretty quiet when it comes to earthquake activity out there. Not a whole lot going on. I don't see any swarms. I don't see any magma movement. There's no cause for concern at the moment there. Tremor map probably has not been updated, folks. It's only 4 o'clock, 4:16 my time now. This is from yesterday. There was a little bit of tremor in the Oregon and Washington area along the Cascadia subduction zone. But we'll have to see what goes on tonight once they update this map there. But even then, not a whole lot of activity along the Cascadia. Solar weather, we have kind of been watching that a little bit. We're looking at potentially a good storm, geomagnetic storm, coming up on the 28th and 29th. You can see the G1 class storms there on the 28th and 29th. A series of small coronal holes are facing the Earth area. Solar wind streaming flowing from these zones is predicted to reach the Earth beginning late on the 27th of March and into the 28th. Another round of minor G1 geomagnetic storming will be possible once the stream arrives past our planet. Of course, you lucky ones at the higher latitudes are potentially in for a treat when it comes to the aurora borealis lighting up the nighttime sky there. So pay attention to that. We're looking at potentially a little increase there. You can see the KP index rising there in the elevated green. Of course, tonight we're only looking at, well, it's not supposed to hit tonight. Well, yeah, I guess it is. Reach Earth beginning late on March 27th. This activity here on this scale is, I'm guessing, from early this morning, late last night. So, yeah, we're looking at potentially late tonight, and we can see that KP index there rising above this lower level there, stretching up into the 3 level. Of course, we get into storming here pretty soon as this gets elevated. So hopefully things work out, and you folks there at the higher latitudes will be able to get some awesome views of the aurora. Mid-latitudes, lower down, looking at 30% chance of that. Of course, on the live stream, we are watching the aurora forecast there on the upper left-hand corner of the screen there. Shows you the forecast over the 30 minutes or so, about 30-minute forecast of the aurora borealis. Right now it is strengthening on the dark side of the planet, eastern coast area, out into the northern Atlantic, Iceland area as well. Watch that very closely for strengthening later tonight. Sea flares looking at a potential 15% threat over the next, looks like 24 hours or so. We'll see if that holds true or not. All right, folks, have a beautiful evening. Enjoy your weekend. It's a warm one out here, let me tell you. I'm not ready for these 80-degree temperatures, close to 90 next week here in California. It's just not, it shouldn't be possible, but it is what it is. Have a good night, folks. Stay safe out there. Saturday night, party night. There's a lot of crazy people. Yeah, we'll chat you guys a little bit later on. Stay safe.